In my life, I've had a lot of ups and a lot of downs. I have good memories, and there are things I deeply regret. I carry burdens of my past. I carry a lot of guilt into my future. But we are human. We make mistakes, some bigger than others, but I reach my low. But it's only up from here. My name is SonTran, and this is my story. I don't even know where to start. A lot of people ask me how my childhood was, or what it was like, what I did, how I grew up, and I don't know, I feel like it was pretty normal as far as I think. I was really close with my grandparents, my grandma especially. I was always jumping around, dancing, singing, doing all those stuff. I was definitely for sure the troublemaker kid. Between as young as I could remember, I would always be doing something stupid around the house. But my grandparents were really a fundamental part, a very instrumental part of my life, because they believed in what I did and whatever my dream was at that time, whether I wanted to be a cashier. I remember us buying one of those, a toy cashier, and they believed in me in doing that. Or even a shoe salesman. I would always gather our shoes in the front door and then just put them for sale back to you. And so yeah, they believed me in that. And as I got older, I started getting into singing, and I was really joking around with it at that time, but they really believed in me for whatever reason. And that always meant so much to me. Is just how much they believed in me for even doing something so simple or something insane. And yeah, so that's part of how my childhood was pretty much like. And a lot of it, I feel like, because I was the only child at that time. Now I have two little sisters, but yeah, at that time I was the only child, and that was pretty cool but weird at the same time, thinking that I was the only child. I didn't know what that really meant. I didn't really care to ask, so yeah, I got two half sisters now, so that's pretty cool. Also in my childhood, what else was it like? I don't know, I don't know how else to really say this, but I was abused as a child. Physically, mentally, emotionally, I was abused by one of my parents mainly. And then for as long as I could remember, or as young as I could remember, I feel like I think I was three or four when I first got abused in any way. So that was that as well. It's just, I don't know how else to say it. It's just, that's what my life was when I was a child. And a year or so after, when I was 5, maybe 4 or 5, my parents were divorced. And being so young, I didn't know what being divorced meant, or even the word divorced. I didn't think of Googling it, because as a kid that was 5 years old, even if you did Google it, or even try to form it in a sentence for the simplest way possible to understand, I don't think you would understand it very well. So I just thought it would be oh, this weekend I'm hanging out with mom, next weekend I'm hanging out with dad. Here and there we would do some things differently, and I always thought oh, they had 2 houses, that's pretty weird. But And then that's when I started thinking a lot. For a 6-year-old, 5, 6-year-old kid, I just thought it was my fault. Like, did I do something wrong, or was it my fault that they divorced? Or, like, even when I got mentally abused or emotionally or physically, I always thought it was my fault. Like, of course I'm being punished for something, and yes, it's my fault. And I just tried to figure out what was my fault and what did I do wrong. And yeah, so my childhood was kind of all over the place. I felt like I grew up too soon, I would say. So yeah.
That I'm weak, so instead I would hide in my room so that I wouldn't speak. Cause if I did, it would still be wrong. I wanna give up, but I gotta be strong. Ain't got nowhere to go while I'm here all on my own. Must be something